Good day. So today I'll be talking about drawings, specifically um, isometric and orthographic drawing. But before we dive into those two types of drawings, first off, let's talk about drawings in general. In fact, objects in general. Basically, reality, we humans perceive reality in 3D, in three dimensions. And we humans know we have the knowledge of there being a one dimension, a two dimension, and a three dimension, and it can be represented in drawings too, right? And in every single dimension, there is a very clear distinction between all of them. All of them. We also have four dimension, five dimension. As it's been said in theory, it has not been proven. In fact, it's been said that even though they exist, we there's a high chance we won't be able to see them because naturally we see reality on a three-dimensional level. So now, what's a one-dimensional drawing? This is a one-dimensional drawing. A line, anyhow you put it, as far as it's a line, it's a one-dimensional drawing. What do they have in common? They have one dimension, which is what? Length. That is what they have in common, and that is what makes it a one-dimension drawing, a 1D. Now, two-dimensional drawing. Let's take this for example. A rectangle. What makes this a two-dimensional drawing? It has a length, and it has a width or a breadth, anyhow you want to call it. They are both the same thing. So this rectangle has a length and a width. It makes it a two-dimensional drawing because it has two fundamental dimensions, which are your length and your width. This only has a single fundamental dimensions, which is just your length. So these are the major differences between a 1D and a 2D. A 1D just have one dimension, which is just length. A 2D has two dimensions, which is length and width. This is what makes it 2D. Now, a three-dimensional drawing. Let's say we have this now. A three-dimensional drawing. Now, this has a length, a width, and height. This is a three-dimensional drawing. It has an additional fundamental dimension, which is height. And now you see this object is different from this object and this object. They are all different, they are all unique due to what? The dimensions in which they all appearing, right? These appear in one dimension, two dimension, and three dimension. So we humans, just like I said earlier, we perceive objects, all objects in reality. A book, a table, a desk, all these are represented in three dimensions to us. That is how we perceive them in reality, right? So now let's go into isometric drawing. Now, an isometric drawing is kind of like this, but with other features, right? Now, an isometric drawing is a type of 3D representation of an object where its fundamental dimensions, which are your length, your width, and your height, are all represented at the same time, right? So this is your length, your width, and your height. You can see them now at the same time, right? This is an isometric drawing in a sense, right? But when drawing an isometric drawing, there are other features you need to incorporate with it. Like for example, the angle between an isometric drawing should be 120 degrees, right? Don't worry, when I start, I will begin to make note, I will begin to explain more about all these things. So there are other features that differentiates an isometric drawing from other kind of drawings, right? There are other features. So and for today class, we'll be talking about isometric drawing and orthographic drawing. So let's begin.